What is up, everybody? Stefen Rosner with Brendan Azoff. We're going to get this Islander-Ranger game talk going right now. I know, Brendan, after this, we are not going to talk for the rest of the day because we are now rivals. But before then, let's get into this. Obviously, the starting net mind is Varlamov versus Sturkin, and that's going to be fun in itself.
Yeah, it's going to be a great goaltending matchup. I'm rocking the Chesty jersey right now. I think that
pesky, stay pesky.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the Islanders got a goaltender that can't sell you right, so it's obvious that the Rangers are going to take this one. I think that the goaltending matchup is going to speak for itself. I know everyone in the Islanders fan base wants to see Sorokin get out there and start his career, but Varlamov has earned this start, and I think that what we saw last year, how close these two games were, Shesterkin had one start, they got the win, but I think it's going to be a similar type of hard-fought battle tonight.
Yeah, and I know Barry Trotz said this is going to be like a playoff scenario each and every game, and you want to get that leg up in game one. Now, granted, it's a whole season long. They played towards the end of the year. But to get that first win in a tough division, just get on the right foot. That's what's most important. I know last year the Islanders were outscored by the Rangers 11-15. I know I said that backwards, Brendan, but I'm talking about the Islanders here. So the Rangers outscored the Islanders 15-11. But, this is going to be a year of, I think, defensive hockey. And when it comes down to it, the Islanders have one of the best defense units in the league. And I think these games are going to be very, very tight. Now, they were 1-2-1 last year, or the Rangers were 3-1, as you want to say. But these were close games, and especially like the Zibanejad game winner. I mean, these were even the Kreider game winner. These are right down to the wire type finishes, and I expect to see that again this year.
So do I, but the thing that the Rangers can take from those games is that the close ones they found a way to pull out. And I think that can build confidence because it is the same unit. Yeah, they're adding Miller and they're adding Lafreniere, which we'll talk to in a second. And as we just got a comment, Adam Pelech did not play in any of those games, which is true, but neither did Keandre Miller or Alex Lafreniere. So there's a lot of variables that are going to be added to it. But confidence is something that you can carry with you. And we saw the Islanders dominate the Rangers for a couple of seasons. And it was because of that, mental aspect where the Rangers are coming into this game knowing, okay, this is a team that dominates us. We got to win. You put that extra pressure on yourself. And now in this type of season, I think any mental edge that you can get is going to be huge. So for the Rangers to come in knowing, hey, we won the close games last year. Let's have some confidence. Let's play a little loose. That's going to help them in this type of game. So I think we can expect a close game. If the Rangers can score, I think that they'll take it. If the Islanders defense looks stout, and as we just saw Adam Pelech is playing, if he can have an impact, then I do think the Islanders will take this one.
And I can't wait to see Dobson in action on that third line with Andy Green. And also, right now, Kiefer Bellows is on the taxi squad, but they have till 5 o'clock today to change that, and I think that will happen. I think he'll play alongside Ross Johnson and Pajot. But, Brendan, question for you. Whoever wins tonight, do you think that carries enough momentum to win on Saturday night when they play each other again?
It's hard to say. I think we have to see how the teams look first before we can give that. Because I think the best way I could say it is, do you remember in the exhibition game before the bubble?
Yeah.
Right? The Rangers kind of looked sluggish, and it carried over. If the Rangers look good and lose, or the Islanders look good and lose, and it's just a really hard-fought game, I don't think so. I think that both teams will kind of come back out fresh. And sure, you might have a little carryover animosity, but the result won't matter. I think that if one team looks significantly worse than the other and doesn't look like they're as ready to play this year, then yes, you will see that carry over to game two. So because of the unique circumstances, I think we're going to have to wait to see till after the game to determine if it's going to have carryover effect.
So another thing I want to talk about is last night we saw, even in the Tampa-Chicago game, when Tampa clearly was the better team, early on it was sloppy, a real feeling out process. Do you think we're going to see that again, tonight in the Islander Rangers, or do you think it's going to get right back to hard hitting, all that kind of stuff, or is it going to be a little wide open to start?
I expect a lot of contact. Yeah. I think that when you're out of the game for this long and you're looking to get back into shape, the best way to do it is to feel the body. So I expect a ton of not necessarily open ice collisions, but just solid board contact, people getting dirty, getting hit. And once you see the blood pumping, I expect it to open up. The Islanders have a history of scoring really fast against the Rangers. Even in the times that they lost last year, they got on the board first, and I can see that happening again if the Rangers come off slow. So I do expect the Rangers to try to push early. That way they're out of their own zone, and physical play will definitely play a part. And do you think the Islanders start their fourth line? Because that'll dictate a lot of it.
It's tough. I would love to see the fourth line start. I mean, that would be just great to get to see, that line back from what could be their last year. Honestly, yeah, I would love to see that. I think that's a good idea because it sets the tone right away that this is no BS. We're getting right down to it. And even I don't think the third line's going to start, but if you see the fourth line do its job, the team could continue. Now, that's why I think it's important Ross Johnson's playing in that third line. Now, you had the option with Dal Cole, but he ends up on IR. I think Lou just said, hey, Dal Cole, I think you got a headache or something. And Dal Cole's like, yeah, I actually have a headache. So I don't know. We don't know why he's on IR, but rather him than Leo Como, just because Ross Johnson brings an element that, everyone says, okay, he's just Matt Martin. Why'd they re-sign Matt Martin and they have Ross Johnson? First off, Ross Johnson is an underrated skater. He's quick to the puck. He forechecks well. He lays the body. He does a lot, and he's got a scoring touch. We saw him beat Vasilevsky, I'm pretty sure it was Vasilevsky against the Lightning during the season. He played on the top line and scored a nice goal off the post and in. And you look at it, and he's got so many elements of his game that I don't think he gets enough credit for. And to have him in the lineup with a Pajot and a Bellows, first off, he could defend Bellows if anyone tries to take him out. But that line, you got Pajot, who's very good in his own zone. You got Bellows, who's not a liability in his own zone, but he's offensive based. And you have Ross Johnson, who's very good in his own zone, but also has that offensive touch as well. That all four lines are going to have to run for the Islanders this year if they want to be a competitive force in this division.
Yeah, I mean, he had 7 goals in 74 career games, Ross Johnson, so that scoring touch comment might be a little far-fetched, but he does the right things. He's a gritty player. He's somebody that the Islanders love because we know how they love their fourth liners. Their whole team is fourth liners, and I think that it'll be something that we'll see if he can crack the lineup. I don't know necessarily why he has to play if they have Martin, Cizikas, Clutterbuck, these guys, and I think that Leo Komarov gets an edge because of the money you're paying him. I know he's been waived. He's on the taxi squad, but I mean, it's such a waste of money if you don't play him and play Ross Johnson first. So, I mean,
Leo's technically on the roster. That's why it's so confusing because, he went through waivers, but he was on the roster yesterday, but I think that roster is going to change today. It's all Lou's grand scheme of things of how he wants to play this out. I know Dan Rosen, who we'll have on the show on Sunday, asked Barry Trotz, can you give us any info on the lineup? And he goes, nice try, but that's not happening. And so that Trotz is as secretive as Lou Lamoriello was. Again, we know the starting goaltending, but Johnson is there. And as Gaines said, I'll show that here, he's there to protect Bellows, and I think we are going to see a fight in this one. Now, I'm not sure.
But if he's there to protect Bellows, then why sign Martin? What's his job?
Well, because he's a fourth-line player, and he's one of those guys that brings that line. Okay, it's very hard to explain to people that aren't Islander fans the importance this fourth line brings.
No, I see it every night.
Okay.
I see that, but I'm saying the fourth line's job is to protect players.
Oh, yes, but not when he's Matt Martin's not going to be on the ice with Kiefer Bellows.
If they're that worried about Kiefer Bellows, one, he shouldn't be playing in an NHL game. Two, put Martin on the ice with him for one shift and have somebody set the tone. Jean-Gabriel Pajot last year fought Jacob Trouba after a hit. He's playing with Bellows. I think he'll do a fine job. You don't need 7 fourth liners on the ice. It's not going to help you, especially. And I'm saying this as a Rangers fan, but for the Islanders standpoint, yes, their team defense is spectacular. For a team like the Rangers that's going to attack you with as much transition speed as they will on all 4 lines, that third line especially, if you get a third line versus third line matchup and you have the young skill of the Rangers and now you're putting a Ross Johnson out there, somebody that's a little slower than just so we can protect Bellows, they might get burned in transition.
But you're saying a little slower, but Ross Johnson's faster than Leo Komarov. He's faster than Dal Cole.
No, I'm not saying Komarov should be in the lineup either. I'm saying it's a tough scenario for who you put, because you don't want to have somebody that I personally have not seen Ross Johnson play enough to give a fair assessment, but you don't want to have somebody have that defensive impact and be a liability out there when Lafreniere, Edel, and Gauthier are going to be attacking with speed. Because Julian Gauthier, Ross Johnson's 6'5", right?
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah, Gauthier is 6'4", so he's not small either. He's that physical presence on that line. So if he's skating with speed past you, that's going to be a tough transition battle.
Well, the good thing about Trotz and what he has is he could roll any line against any line. The third line's not going to automatically go up against the third line. The fourth line for the Islanders could go up against the Rangers' top line. I'd be completely fine with that because they know how to play. They forecheck hard, and if they're forechecking hard, that allows the Rangers not to gain offensive zone pressure. They have to change lines. That's it. Brendan, though, if you had to pick one player on the Rangers that you think is going to have a good game tonight, who would it be?
My one player is Artemi Panarin. I know that it's going to be, oh, wow, you picked the basic one, but we were talking about this before. He had 8 points in 3 games against the Islanders last season, including a 5-point game. He's had 23 points in 15 games against the Islanders in his career, so he's always been very good against them. Last year, opening night was his first game at the Garden. He scored against Winnipeg. I think he had an assist as well. So he's a guy that rises in these big moments, and I think that It will be important for him. I don't expect him to have the same 95-point season. Like that's absurd to expect back-to-back seasons. Can he do it? Yeah. But at least to start, give the young guys something to emulate and set the tone tonight. I expect Panarin to have a good game.
Do you think Lafreniere gets his first NHL goal tonight?
No.
Do you think he gets it on Saturday? Do you think it comes against the Islanders in his first 2 games?
I'd like it to, but I don't, because I think that for him to get his first goal, that's when his confidence will start coming. I'm not sure how he'll play against a very tight team like the Islanders. That's where the gritty goals come. So if he can get to the front of the net, sure, but I'm not entirely certain that he'll be able to do that in the first 2 games against the Islanders. But this is a great team to start your NHL career, because it's going to show them how tough it is.
Yeah, I mean, gritty goals is how it's going to be. I don't think you're going to see a lot of, yes, you're going to see flashy goals potentially, but not a lot of, it's going to be hard fought. You have to beat these goalies. Now, granted, Shesterkin's probably a lot better skill-wise than Varlamov, but Varlamov does his job. And the big important thing is it's because the Islanders' defense allows him to just focus on positioning and all that stuff. For the Rangers, you're guaranteed to see Shesterkin stand on his head or make those 5 or 6 unreal saves that a guy like Varlamov can't make. But granted, it's because of the defense in front of him. So I think Varlamov doesn't have an easier time, but I'm confident in the ability for Varlamov to do the same thing Shesterkin can do. That's why I think this game is going to be close. But for me,
you can't have any weak goals tonight.
Who? Varlamov?
Yeah, because the last time they played last season, Adam Fox scored from the end wall on a shot that shouldn't have gone in. It kind of surprised him. That type of thing is what will hurt the Islanders in this game, because if you give the Rangers 1 and give them any type of momentum, they do have a quick strike offense. So if you're able to hold those chances down, and the only way the Rangers can score is if they earn it, that's when they'll have a little bit of difficulty because they are so young.
Yeah, so my player to watch is Anthony Beauvillier. He's absolutely torched the Rangers in his career. In 14 games, he's got 15 points, 9 goals, 6 assists. Last year in 4 games, he had 2 goals, no assists. But this is my guy to watch this game. I think it's going to be a huge year for him and that second line. Brock Nelson and Beauvillier have both taken strides under Trotz, and alongside Josh Bailey, who's entering his 13th year with the Islanders, and which is just crazy. The amount of hate he's got early on in his career, what he still gets, the Josh Bailey song. I mean, he's the longest tenured Islander, and he's deserved it, but he's finally found 2 line mates that I think bring out the best in him. And again, going off that playoff run that they had too, my biggest thing is Beauvillier and Nelson, and I guess you could throw Bailey in there, are very streaky. And when they're hot, it's great. But when they're cold, it's all right. And I think the Islanders' second line is going to have a better year than the first line. I'm not saying the first line's going to have a bad year. I just think the second line is so dynamic in what they bring, and especially going against not the top pairing defenseman every night, because those guys have to go against Barzal and what he does, because you have to respect that. I think they're going to have a big year.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, Beauvillier is a name that every time the Rangers and Islanders play is prevalent. And he got one of those crazy bounces last year on a goal on a breakaway, kind of hopped in front. But he's in those areas, and he creates his own opportunities. And there's something about the Rangers that bring out the best in one player on every team. Like, the player that always comes to mind for me is Jimmy Howard, just how good he was against the Rangers. He could have 4 goals against, like he did last year, and he'd still only give up 1 against the Rangers. It's just something about playing them. And Beauvillier lights up too. And I expect him to be, if he's not on the score sheet, he'll be around it definitely tonight. Well,
the biggest thing in what you just mentioned, sir, thank you for mentioning that, is Beauvillier last year took the steps in creating offense. Now, granted, he was finishing off plays, but we saw in the playoffs against the Capitals. He dumped the puck in, and when he got it, it made a play. And those are the things that he has to do in his game to get to that next level. This guy's an underrated talent, an offensive force. And no, he's not going to play with Barzal, but again, if Brock Nelson and Beauvillier have that connection, which we saw in the postseason with Bailey, I mean, this is going to be a line that might get more minutes on that top line, and deserving so. Again, I have this Islander team. Yeah, you have lines 1, 2, and 3, and 4, but each line does something different and unique. It's not necessarily that the first line is that much better than the second line or that much better than the third line. Look at the third. You have JG Pageau on your third line, the fourth line that plays probably more minutes than any fourth line in the league in big moments. So this is a dynamic line. The question is, can they get their offensive going against this Rangers defense? Because last year we saw during the regular season, the offense went dry. When Pelech went down, the defense was allowing, I think, it definitely went up for goals against per game. And we saw, 10-game win streak, 17-game point streak, and then it was mediocrity. And the last thing the Islanders could afford this year is to have a streak where they don't score. Because, again, Varlamov, Sorokin, the defense can do all they can. But if you don't score, you can't win. I lost my game last night 4-0. I made like 40 saves. But it doesn't matter what I do. If you don't put one puck in the net, all that work means nothing because They could have scored 8 goals. They could have scored 1 goal. You're losing the game.
Yep.
I think it's a lot of pressure on the defense this year. Again, key pieces missing. Taves gone. Boychuk's gone. Now, I do have faith Dobson can step in and do a Taves-like job. And I think alongside Green, which just switched, he was with Boychuk last year, but he still had veteran presence actually give him confidence. We know the power play, but that's going to be a big part. We saw a couple of penalties last night. It seems like people, again, everyone's getting their legs underneath them, some lazy penalties. How much do you think special teams is going to play a part in the outcome of this game?
Well, I'll get to that, and then I want to get to one of the fan questions next. But I was going to say, like, after your point, the Rangers scored a lot of shorthanded goals last year. They were very aggressive on the penalty kill. It burned them sometimes because if they get beat, now there's a lot of odd man situations in front of the net. But we had talked about in our last show how Dobson is going to be at the top, and he might be a little shaky in his first game with the puck up top there. Somebody like Zibanejad pressuring you, where you know if you turn it over, he's one of the most lethal breakaway finishers in this league. So there's pressure now in this game to keep that puck. And if the Rangers do gamble and get bit, will the Islanders be able to score? Because we know their power play has struggled in the past, but they are streaky. And then on the flip side, the Rangers' power play last year was very good. I think they finished 7th in the league, but they were like 0.2 percentage points away from 5th. So if they can keep that pace up and make the Islanders pay on penalties, that will be huge. So to answer your question, the special teams battle in this game is going to be a huge factor in who wins.
Yeah, I'm just looking right now. During the regular season the stat, good for NHL.com because the stats are already updated as of yesterday for the power play, penalty kill, goals, all that leading. But clearly that's not what I wanted. Last year, the Rangers were at 22.9% on the power play. The Islanders that was ranked 7th in the league. The Islanders were ranked, all the way down, 24th at 17.3%. And I'm pretty sure in the bubble last year it was around 15. It got worse. Yeah. So this is a team that Islanders have to – if the Islanders could figure out their power play, there are so many games that they could put teams away. We saw last year with even in the playoffs, the opportunities to get back in games or put teams away, and they just failed to do that. And not even failing to do that, their power plays were so bad that the other team got momentum from it. And that's the last thing you want to see from special teams. That's supposed to be, if it's a big kill, big momentum boost. If it's a big power play goal, big momentum boost. You flip the switch. And the penalty kill was fine for the Islanders last year. I'm pretty sure it was top 10. It was 15th, actually. 80.7%. The Rangers were at...
They were lower, probably 70-something.
77.4. So I think there's, this is a big situation. But, Brandon, you can get to some fan questions now.
Yeah, so part of that penalty kill, now I'm not sure if we'll see him tonight, but Keandre Miller made the lineup. And the question is, do you think Keandre Miller is going to put up good scoring numbers this season? I don't, because I think that as a youngster, especially him, they have Fox, right? You have D'Angelo who are going to score. He's playing with Trouba. I think his main focus, and what it looks like his main focus is in camp and why he made this team, is shut down the other team. So if he's worried about that and he does his job defensively, offense eventually will come. I expect him to score a little bit, but not at the same clip that everyone goes, oh, he was a first-round pick, he should be scoring this many points. Let him worry about the defensive side first, because that's the one aspect the Rangers struggle in. Everyone could score on this team, but not many people can defend yet. So I'm more interested in that side of it. But if he is on the penalty kill, it does solidify it a little bit. I think the chemistry they have and a bounce-back year from Trouba, that will definitely increase that penalty kill percentage.
Now, for me and Keandre Miller, I think, like you said, it's not about the offense. This offense is a top premier offense in this league. The guys on defense, like Fox, Trouba even can score too with bounce-back year as well. They don't need Keandre Miller to put up goals. They need to play solid defense. That's what the Rangers were missing last year. Look at their offense. It was great. If their defense was solid, they're in the playoffs probably. And if their defense, takes that next step this year, they could be a really hard team to play against. The question is can their defense hold up through the entirety of a 56-game season with a lot of youngsters? I think Keandre Miller, and this is probably what Quinn is saying, is, listen, you are very good defensively. Focus on that game. The offense will come. But the more important thing is Keandre Miller making plays. That way the offense gets the puck and scores. I really don't think him not showing offensive touch this year is a problem at all, as long as he shows on the defensive side of the puck that he belongs and can keep up with the top players in the league. Because this division is full of the top players. You got, Marchand when healthy, Pasternak when healthy, Ovechkin, Crosby, Giroux. We saw Farabee yesterday. What does he lead the league now in points?
A 4-point game.
So, you have so much offensive talent in this league that it's going to be a great test for Keandre Miller, and you're going to know right off the bat if he can handle it or not.
The one thing I will say, if you're a casual fan, your main focus when watching the game is scoring and offensive numbers. When watching Miller and you see him on the ice, the one thing I want you to watch is his gap control. If he is up and aggressive and he's a big boy. If he uses his long reach and he closes the gap on forwards who are skating at him, that's how you know he's on his game, and that's how you know he's impressive. If he's sitting back and he's letting the Islanders come in with speed, the Rangers are going to get beat tonight. And I think that for a rookie, sometimes they don't want to get beat so bad that they give too much room to the forwards, and that's when you do get beat. If he's up and aggressive and using his body and reach, and you can see him poke checking the puck off forward sticks, it's going to be a very good game for K'Andre Miller.
And I think you could say the same thing about Noah Dobson.
Correct.
You saw Noah Dobson get beat along the boards multiple times, struggling to push the guys to the outside far enough where they had the time to cut to the middle and make plays. And he looked silly, and he was with Boychuk, who, again, Boychuk, great role model. He was slow last year. The age clearly was getting the best of him. But Dobson got to do the same thing. This Rangers offense is very talented and very skilled with the puck on their stick. They can make you look silly real quick with guys like Panarin, Lafreniere, Buchnevich, all those guys. So if Dobson can do what K'Andre Miller's planning on doing in gap control, pushing to the outside, intercepting some passes, learn from Pelech. Pelech's got the longest stick on this Islander team, and he does wonders with pushing guys to the outside and breaking up those plays. So if Dobson can show that as well, again, yes, the Islanders would love their defense to come through a lot more goals-wise. Dobson as well. But, again, this defense is going to be only strong if all those guys buy into what it's about. It's not about individuality on scoring goals. It's lockdown defense. The goals will come. So if Dobson and K'Andre Miller, those are two bright spots for both organizations. Both have a lot to learn, though, in their first. I know, obviously, Dobson played last year, but his first full year, and K'Andre Miller his rookie season.
Corrected. So let's look into the matchup now tonight.
Yeah.
Over-under is set at 5.5. You thinking over or under?
Well, looking yesterday, every team that won scored 4 goals. So, granted, if that continues, which I think we will see the over. But I do think it's going to be a close game, and I think there will be an empty net involved.
I could see that. I could see a 4-2 game with an empty net.
I was going to say 4-2. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say under because I do think that I know what we saw yesterday, and I think there might be a little bit of that early. But similar to the Avalanche and Blues game, how they settled in, I think the physicality and rivalry will take over, and it will be a lot more close checking than the ones we saw yesterday. So I'm going to say under a 3-2 game, no empty net. Okay,
so under. So are you putting that? Oh, by the way, Brendan, congratulations on your winning your bet last night.
I did hit my parlay yesterday.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Okay, so more projections. What do you think the record's going to be for both these teams at the end of the year against each other?
Now you have to give me a calculator, a tape measure, everything to figure out the math for this. But
I'll give you the good news. They play 8 times, so it's an even number.
Are you okay? No, I thought you meant overall.
Oh, no.
For these two teams, I think one team's going to have a winning record in the series. Mm-hmm. But I do think we could see each team win 4 games. So, I think the Islanders could have a 4-3-1 record, that type of thing. It's hard to say after not seeing anybody play for so long. I think on my prediction for the season, I had them at 3-3-2, the Rangers.
That's exactly.
I'm pretty sure that's what I had because I was trying to be fair. And these two teams are so evenly matched when they play, regardless of standings, that it's not fair to give a prediction without seeing how they match up, especially these first 2 games. So for me, 3-3-2 or 4-3-1, some variation of that sounds like a likelihood.
No sweep, right?
No way.
I don't think you're going to see a sweep in any matchups this year. I don't even think it's going to happen. Even if you look at the Devils and how bad they were, I don't think you're seeing. I think you'll see dominant records against them, but I don't see sweeps coming. But for their
pride kicks in.
Pride kicks in, but you're also seeing the same team every night. You're learning a lot more about a team than you're ever used to learning about. And I think last year we got gypped because we missed out on how many Islander Ranger games? They only played in 4. They have 1 more left? B Gain saying, anyone playing the Ducks?
That's not true. The Ducks are young and talented now.
I have them as a dark horse, and you can't put anything, besides goals and shots, you can't put anything past Gibson.
Gibson's good.
He gets peppered.
We got to remember, we make comments like that. Everyone looks at Detroit still like they're a bottom feeder. Detroit had a great offseason. They added a lot.
Great.
No one's going to get swept just for the simple fact, besides the pride. After 5 games, if you're 0-5, you know what the other team's going to be doing. And you go, boys, let's shut down the middle here and let's go out to the outside, get some shots on goal, and bear down. It just becomes that type of simple thing. And for somebody like a Ducks team, if you're 0-5 against a team and you have 2-3 games left, Gibson's going to just stand on his head one night and say, I'm going to win this game for myself. So I can't see any team getting swept at all. Only team I think has a chance is Jersey to Buffalo. And that's just because of not the talent disparity, but I think the goaltending matchup favors. Did I say Buffalo?
You said Buffalo. You didn't mean Buffalo.
I meant Boston.
Yeah.
I meant Boston. And the Devils. I realized that something didn't sound right, but I think that there's just too much talent disparity on the forward group there for them to compete.
I mean, I would have to agree. In my standings predictions, I have the Sabres being below the Devils, and maybe that's a stretch, and not a lot of people like that. I don't believe in that. You could put anyone on this Buffalo Sabres team; they'll get off to a hot start and fall off a cliff. That's just the way their past is gone, and history repeats itself. So I can't see them. Taylor Hall is one guy, but back to the Rangers and Islanders. This is gonna be tough because no fans, and we hope later on in the year we'll be able to have fans. But what do you think that does for the guys on the ice? Now, granted, they played in the bubble, no fans as well, but you're starting a new year against your rival, fake crowd noise. What do you think that does to players?
Yeah, same thing it did in the bubble, I guess. I mean, this year it's a little different because it's in their own building. So for the home team, you still have that familiarity with the ice. It's going to stink. I mean, I don't know what the Garden's going to look like. I know what it looks like for Knicks games where they have the seats covered and everything, and I'm assuming they're going to have that tonight too. And it's going to look so weird. It doesn't look like it's MSG. It doesn't look like it's going to be the Coliseum, right? It looks like a artificial NHL 21 type of 3 setup. So they'll feel it. When you see Martin throw a big hit tonight or Lemieux throw a big hit or the two of them fight, and it's artificial like that in the background and not people actually going nuts, you'll notice it. Hockey's a great sport, and without fans, it's still great. The action's still great, but you realize how much better it is with fans there.
Do you think, though, it'll be unique and it could be cool not having fans there? You're going to hear everything. You're going to hear all the chirps. I mean, and it's going to be...
I've been saying to mic up the ice. Just put it on YouTube. Say it's TVMA. We don't condone anything that's being said. Give that little artificial statement, and let's hear Martin go up to one of them and just say something absolutely horrendous about his family. Like, just something like that. Just make it entertaining.
No, I granted, but I also think, just the piece of it being so quiet, hearing the puck hit the stick, hearing the shots hit the post, the goal, those things that you don't ever see in a regular season when there's a sold-out crowd, you're going to see for the first time. And now, yes, we want fans there, but let's not all be negative about it. You got to get stuff out of it that's very unique.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be, the intensity is going to be there. The first game might be a little slow to start. I had a hiccup there.
As long as you're not choking like your team's going to do tonight.
No, they're not going to choke. Don't worry. I think you have too much confidence in a team that wasn't even a playoff team come last season. Ugh.
They weren't healthy, Brendan. They're healthy.
Yeah, they got lucky.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us here today. So, Brendan, though, last thing. So you're gonna say 3-2 Rangers, and I'm gonna say 4-2 Islanders empty net. That's how we're gonna do this.
I made a pact with myself and one of our friends that I'm not betting on this game because I do see it going both ways. If the Rangers can find a way to score early, they'll win this game. If the Islanders come out looking like we're gonna lock down the middle of the ice, they'll win this game. But these two teams are polar opposites, and it can go either way.
So I was looking back to see if there was any correlation between who scores first in a game and who wins. There was none. I know last year the Islanders lost 6-2 in one game, and they scored the first 2 goals.
Yep.
So, I mean, I want to say the first team to score is going to win, but this is going to be neck and neck. And I really think it's going to come from the physicality and who can get that momentum. I think the team that –
from King Igor in goal now.
Okay. Oh, so you just took the nickname right out of Lundqvist. It's gone.
We have to figure out. They're calling him the Prince, I think.
Why not the Czar?
Because he hated that. He said he didn't like that.
You didn't like that?
No.
Well, we got broken as the white whale. And they asked, I don't know if they asked him or someone just posted on Twitter where he's like, what are they calling me? I don't get it. I think it was a joke. But, I mean, so what's their nickname?
I think it's the Prince because you can't take the king from Lundqvist. So he's the next. He's like the following.
The heir?
Leader. He's the heir to the throne, I guess. So he's the Prince. Prince Igor.
Maybe it'll be Princess tonight when we light him up.
Yeah, you're not lighting up Igor Shesterkin.
All right. Thanks, guys, everybody, for tuning in. Enjoy the game tonight. We definitely will. Brendan, I will not be talking to you until the game is over. But everybody take care. Enjoy the game tonight and have fun. Have fun, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup.